You know what the difference is between the authority and the people? Is that the people are full with their opinions and their attitudes and their wishes and their preferences and left and right, opportunistic, then they're this, then they develop into that, and then they don't like that anymore, and then they become something else, and then you have the authority who just keeps doing what they always have done, statically, unadaptively, based upon formulas that need to be working, and it has to be proven, and so on and so on. So there's no more bridge between the two, you know. When someone from the people starts to become like an official from within the people, yeah, the personality comes through. And people don't have time for that in the future. So many people want to do something against Vladimir Putin. But my point of today's podcast is, what exactly can you do against Vladimir Putin? Vladimir Putin is sitting in that Kremlin for what? 10, 20 years in the presidency. Let me enlighten you. So I'm sitting in this presidential timeline, Germany. This Equalizer of Germany position in the German particle game, the game of honor here in Germany. So when somebody's threatening Germany, all the particles will wake up and the system will go into defense mode, and everyone will be brought to awakening, and the system will start adapting, and everyone is playing his or her role depending upon your level of honor in the German society. And it is my honor when Merz enters the Bundestag that I start doing what the Equalizer of Germany does. Alright? So when you become Equalizer of Germany, ladies and gentlemen all over the world, what happens is that you enter something which is called the German Eagle Throne. Yeah, all of a sudden you, the person, can go into some kind of a spiritual technology that makes you capable of becoming the Avenger of Germany. Sure, so you become president and then you have to be trained to become president. How long will it take a novice, someone from the people, to enter the presidency? Oh, all of a sudden you're going to adapt to this reality of becoming an instrument of the Matrix. Right, and then when something is threatening the Matrix, the instruments of the Matrix will adapt. Oh wow, going from that safe space of preference-based living into hard reality from one day into another day. Yeah. That is what is happening here in the West. It's called 4-year terms. Okay? So somebody enters the throne, sees how the throne works, and after 4 years, it's bye-bye, and someone else may do that job. Because nobody, and I'm telling you, nobody in the West knows how to maintain power. And let me tell you why that is. Let me tell you how I can do that, and you all cannot do that. I have been born in what is known as Azure Dragon Throne of ancient China. That means I got born in it. I wake up in it every single day. I go to bed in it every single day. And I've been through the ups and downs. Okay? That's just normality for me. So I cannot be voted out. And I cannot be voted in. There is no such thing as ancient China. Okay? It's something that is broken that are reawoken by purifying the curses. 5,000 years of curses, familiar spirits, dead bodies, and rival curses, whereby it's revived. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm the one reawakening its power, but this German Eagle Throne is still alive in its original orbit, so to say. So I know what it is like. I know what it is like. Even though I am new in this German Eagle Throne, I can fully imagine what is going to happen here in Germany. When Donald J. Trump is at White House, sitting at American Eagle throne for 4 years, I can fully imagine what that man over there is doing. So the Russians are threatening the West. The American matrix go into self-defense mode, and all of a sudden, the American Eagle throne starts aiming at Vladimir Putin. And Donald J. Trump is then under the influence of the American Eagle throne, and day in, day out, he has to neutralize that which is threatening to the American civilization. Same thing is going to happen here in Germany. I'm going to sit in this German Eagle throne, and every single thing that's threatening this society, this German Eagle throne automatically will go through the German matrix to identify what is threatening to the system, and that will show up for you. And that's how Donald J. Trump is going to show up for Vladimir Putin. And all over the West you have thrones like that. And Vladimir Putin is threatening, and all these thrones are waking up little lions. Rah, rah, rah. Oh yeah, all over the place. Yeah, so what exactly can you do against Vladimir Putin? Look at what the United States of America is doing. Beginner's mistakes. Making deals with terrorists. Yeah, so we're dealing with the White House in a completely arrogant, completely under colonial mentality, completely entitled. You know, it's not working. That America, you know, how many world wars did Germany lose? Look at Germany today. Germany is no longer parading. Germany toned down a little bit. How many world wars does America need to lose for it to tone down a little bit? This is where I'm going with you all. So the Europeans and the Britons already figured it out. You can't rely upon the United States. Okay, you can't. Because you have this narcissistic psychopath in the fucking White House. And if you are a mentally ill person like Donald J. Trump, all your steps are predictable. So this is what I want to make you aware of today in today's podcast. Hello out there all over the world. This is the German Eagle throne. How you all doing? I went to the Bundestag and I said, give me the dynastical rights. You know what that means? So I have the dynastical rights to the ancient dragon throne of China. What is that? It's called Zanmato. So with the Chinese dragon throne, I can walk on the earth when it's not cursed, and it is not cursed. And when you have bad karma, you're walking around, I'm going to show you what Chinese dragon throne is, so that you just understand how natural this stuff is for me. You individual, you're walking around somewhere and you're touching it, touching the sins, touching the corruption. You're touching what you're not supposed to touch, and there is a demon attached to that crime. There is a demon attached to that sin, and that demon will start following you around. Okay? But you're going to be like, no, hell doesn't exist. Christianity is blah, 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 blah. You're going to have some more fun, and you're going to collect your demons. You're going to get more demons, more dark energy, more curses, more familiar spirits, more rival curses. And there's going to come that point in your life, yes, that is no longer going to work, this destinical timeline of yours. The canceling of your destiny, whereby you are more cursed than you are blessed. Whereby all of a sudden you end up in a life of fucking problems. And when you arrive at that point in your destiny, that's when a person like me shows up to kill your fucking demons. That's called Zanmato. So I've been doing that for my entire life. That is called the legacy of my family bloodline. Okay? So somebody here in Germany, if you have enough honor in Germany, and then you can translate that honor in the German destiny by becoming the American president, and then you go into something which is called the German Eagle throne. So at this moment of time, Merz did not enter government, so the German Eagle throne's authority is not yet activated, whereby I cannot fully understand what it is. All I know what it is called the Equalizer of Germany. It must have some kind of a special ability. Okay? So in the White House is an American Eagle throne with a special ability, and so in Russia There's a Russian eagle throne with a special ability, and this Vladimir Putin is sitting in that thing for 20 years. 20 years, I don't know. I've been an adult person for 20 years, so Vladimir Putin might as well be as trained in imperialism as I am, because I'm talking about dragon throne, eagle throne, that's called imperialism. So Vladimir Putin might as well one-on-one be of the same caliber as I am. If Vladimir Putin and me one-on-one in the ring, it would be ancient Chinese dragon throne, 20 years of experience, and there you have Russian eagle throne, 20 years of experience. That would be a battle. The shit that the White House is doing is not a battle. What is an eagle who is a narcissistic psychopath? You can predict the steps. So Vladimir Putin is looking at this battle from a different dimension than all the Westerners. I know what you guys are going to do. Hello, people. I'm addressing you, White House and Bundestag and French and Britons and all these other nations. I am addressing you. I know what you are going to do because I know your nature. You're lazy, entitled, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You're living in a delusion. You don't want to hear it, but it is true. I know it. Okay? So I'm just showing you Dragon Throne, Ancient China. I know how you work. I know your human nature. So I know what you're going to do. You're going to make peace, and you're going to make peace, and you're going to make peace, and then you're going to bribe. You're going to say, how much money do you want from peace? You're going to try to avoid the conflict. You're going to try to avoid the conflict some more, and then you're going to try to, because why? Because your wife does not want you to go to war, and you don't want to go to war. You will do anything to avoid going to fucking war. I know it. I know it. I'm telling you the truth. I know it. You don't want to go to war. You want to go to sleep. You want to eat candies. You want to go and do some sexual perversions. Yeah, you want to be a fucking hedonist. And you want to do that whatever you're doing here in the West that created this whatever broken shit. You want to continue. You want to print some more money. You want to continue this hustle, continue this hedonistic empire, and everyone outside of the hedonistic empire knows you don't want to go to war. It's all a fucking bluff. So if you're like me, you become more aggressive, more offensive, because I know that Westerners do not believe in judgment. Hello, I'm addressing you, White House and Bundestag and everyone out there. I'm addressing you as German Equalizer. I know that you believe that crime is committed because mommy and daddy were bad, mommy and daddy. And oh, that's so sad. There's the terrorist. Oh, the terrorist, probably had a bad family, or a bad upbringing, or probably the terrorist was bullied. So we have to have grace and mercy upon the terrorist. We need to give the terrorist some more fucking time. You know what I'm saying? No. I know you don't believe in judgment. I know you don't want to go to war. I know your setup. So the terrorist can just push you and push you. So you're going to do what? Try to tickle the ego of the terrorist. Yeah? You know what they did in World War II? They made Adolf Hitler Times Person of the Year. Back in the days, the Britons were like, hey, we made a peace deal. Make a fucking fool out of themselves. That careless attitude. Oh, and then the Americans were like, okay, let's invite Adolf Hitler and make him Time Person of the Year, and let's stroke his ego, and maybe he want to become one of us and become less of an extremist. Maybe he'll become a moderate when we tickle him a little bit. Oh, that worked really great. And the West has learned nothing from this. Still trying to tickle Vladimir some more. And Vladimir's like, oh, you can keep tickling me. You want to give me a fucking foot massage as well? All of a sudden, this motherfucker get a fucking attitude. That's what you are creating. That's what you are creating in the West. This Vladimir Putin is like, okay, I can get one bag of gold. Wait, let's see how many more bags of gold. Let me just extend this thing. Let me extend some more because these Westerners don't want to go to war. These Westerners don't want to do the hard work. These Westerners are lazy. These Westerners are hedonists. Hey, you know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do? We're going to wait until the Westerners bankrupt and their societies. Let's subvert their societies. Getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and Westerners living in more denial. Oh, bad, bad. And now we have the leader of the free world responsible for the defense of the West. The system starts triggering. Vladimir Putin is marked as the enemy. Heaven is marking Vladimir Putin as the enemy. And Vladimir Putin is fucking joking with all of you. Vladimir Putin is joking with all of you so bad that Emmanuel Macron is stepping outside of his boundaries, seeing the threats against France, going on his own power, trying to collect other nations who want to create a secondary strategy to defend the West from the Russian threats. Yeah, so here in Germany, what do? Okay, the Volkswagen doesn't sell cars anymore. What a crappy economy. So let's build tanks. Alright, so I want to focus your awareness, people out there responsible for the defenses of the West. The best you can do as individual is go into defense mode. But what exactly are you defending? What are you defending? Right? Who knows the strategy of the Russian eagle throne? Because that's where I want to lead your mind into. If you're defending against, what are you defending? If you don't know what your opponent is going to do, if you don't know what your opponent's strategy is, what are you defending against? So we have all these thrones here in the West, with all these 4 years, you know what I'm saying? 4 year in, 4 year out. And what did they do? Okay, let's increase the defenses. Spend more money on defense. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. That is really counter-reactive. That's really adequate. How you call that in English? That is really competent. Who here in the West is competent enough to react to the Russian eagle throne? The Russian eagle throne, Vladimir Putin is plotting something. Has been plotting that for 10, 20 years. Is creating a monetary union. This thing is in an advanced stage. And then we have a psychopath in the White House and a bunch of amateurs all over the West who are going to try to cuddle with him or trying to create peace deals. Right? Nobody is competent in the reactional power of what Vladimir Putin is doing. Alright? So if you just accept the way how I'm trying to create in your mind a reality, an image of reality, you can come to no other conclusion that the West is deceived at best and cursed at worst. Let me show you something. So inside of your mind are these energies, and these energies create thoughts. Okay? And these thoughts and these feelings inside of you are going to persuade you to do something. Okay? So if the wrong energies are inside of you, you're going to be led into the wrong whatever you're doing. Okay? That's called being cursed. If you are cursed, you're not going to find the solution to the problems. Okay? That's what's going on here. So if you open the Bible, the Word of God, you see that once a people walk away from the laws of God, like here in the West, the hedonistic societies, then God will rile up an enemy to punish you. And this enemy will defeat you, no matter how much you prepare. Okay? So I don't want to go into the role of prophecy speaker here. That's not my intention. I'm not trying to scare you with the Bible into action. No, I'm trying to show you something. The way how the military defense systems of the West are reacting is not dynamic, not competent. How many people here in the West have it in them to analyze Vladimir Putin, to analyze the Russian eagle throne, and decipher what the agenda is? What is the agenda of Vladimir Putin? What are the ambitions of Vladimir Putin? What is he trying to set in motion? When you know that, when you have that information, you can understand his military and political movements, and then you can counter these movements. All right. So we're not there. Are we in the West? Is any throne or position of authority or any whoever in the West busy with trying to identify what Russia's intending to do? And how can you counter? Defeating Russia or defending yourself against Russia is more than producing more tanks. Wars are not won because of how many tanks you have or how many soldiers are ready to go to battle. No, wars are tactics. Okay? And how much tactics can a fucking narcissistic psychopath make up? That's my point. All right? So, this is today's podcast, German Equalizer. I want you to understand something. The Russians and the Chinese have presidents who sit in there for life. Whereby these Russians and these Chinese and those type of presidents who have those for life type of authorities, they have a certain nature that I got born with in this Chinese dragon throne. It is their second nature. It become a second nature. Nobody can do that. People in the West can translate their honor into a position of presidency for 4 years, and then they can emulate what I can emulate my entire life. What one of these presidents for life can emulate the entire life. You all are not capable of fighting Vladimir Putin. I'm telling you the truth. None of you here in Germany, none of you over there in America, you just don't have what it takes to fight Vladimir Putin person to person. So all you're doing is preparing. You know, the Westerners, they take a little bit of water and food and gold and store it somewhere for bad times. Or you open a factory where you build tanks. Or you spend a little bit more on the military industrial complex. That is it. And then you try to make peace and stroke the ego. That is the military power of the West. Of course nobody's afraid for that. Nobody's afraid for that.